most efficient boat on the banks today is the trawler. It's the most modern of all deep-sea boats. Yet the origin of the use of the trawler in fishing is very old. Trawl fishing was known in England as early as 1376, and the use of the trawl may have been introduced much earlier than that. What makes the trawler distinctive is the enormous net she tows. This net, streaming out behind the trawler, drags over the sea bottom where ground fish, such as haddock, cod, and sole, feed. They are, in this way, swept into the mouth of the net. Stretched on the ground, to get an idea of its size, the net looks like this. The open end, from 80 to 100 feet wide and 30 feet deep, forms the wings of the net. The wings of the net are laced to the heavy rope at the bottom, called the foot rope. The regulation size of the mesh in the wings and belly is from 4 to 6 inches. This allows the smaller fish to escape. Where the parts of the net are joined, the twine is doubled. At the cod end, the mesh is heavier, smaller, about 3 inches, and doubled for strength. The end of the net, called the cod end, will hold 5,000 pounds of fish. Before putting to sea, there is a lot to do. The pen boards are cleaned and returned to the hold to form separate pens to hold the fish. It's important that they be clean, or the fish will spoil. Ice is crushed and stored in the ice hatch near the fish holds, ready for use when the catch is brought in. Enough stores must be put aboard to last the crew a week or more. The engine room is the heart of the ship. Today, most trawlers are diesel-powered and have diesel electric-driven winches. The engineers must be competent and alert, for the success of the fishing depends in no small degree on their skill. Because the trawler is so highly mechanized, it takes a relatively small crew, 18 to 24 men, to operate it. Just 180 miles from the coast of Nova Scotia are the well-known fishing banks. These are shoals where the water is from 25 to 100 fathoms deep. Banquereau, Middle Ground, Sable Island, and Grand Banks are the better-known ones. And as the trawler steams on her way, the captain plots his course on the chart, marked to show depths of water and location of fishing grounds. While on deck, the gear has to be made ready. Any breaks in the warps must be spliced. Markers have to be set in the warps at regular intervals, and the warps run back on the winch. The markers enable the winchman to know just how many fathoms of warp have to be run off when setting the trawl. The winch controls the fishing gear and demands skillful control by the winchman. The biggest part of the gear is the net, which breaks often by the continuous wear and tear, so the crew must be skilled net menders. All the way from port, the mileage indicator ticks off the knots the boat is making from her home port. The echo sounder measures depths that can be checked with the chart if there is any doubt in location. And records of mileage and location are recorded every 4 hours in the ship's log. They are nearing the fishing grounds now, about 180 miles from the coast of Nova Scotia. It is 2 o'clock as the captain brings his ship to a stop and the crew gets ready to shoot the gear. The door on the forward gallows starboard is brought over the side and shackled. So is the aft starboard door. Then the cod end, the belly, and the wings of the net go overside in that order. And the net streams out to windward as the ground warps are run off the winch. With the trawler now running at half speed, the hanging doors bear the strain of the net. Then the engines are stopped while the doors are dropped simultaneously. As the trawler speeds ahead again, the gear shoots aft and to the bottom. The doors spread apart and the forward door is well abeam. Now the messenger hook is thrown over the forward warp and slides down under the water. Attached to this hook is a cable which is drawn in by the winch, bringing the towing warps together to the towing block on the after rail of the ship. The man at the towing block locks the two towing wires into position. And the messenger hook is removed. The warps are usually let out 3 times the depth of the water. And when the markers on the warps are even with each other, the dragger net is in correct towing position. Note how the net lies in towing position in the water. The doors spread apart, dragging on the bottom and the fish sweeping into the net. The net drags over the banks for an hour and a half. By means of the radio telephone, the captain is able to keep in touch with his home port whenever necessary. And while the net is dragging, the crew is mending broken nets. It is 3:30 now, and the captain gives orders to haul the gear. The towing block is released by knocking out the pin. As the warps are hauled in, the ship circles, retaining enough speed to keep the net coming in at towing speed. The forward door is now brought up, unshackled, and hung in the gallows chain. So is the aft door. The warps are then wound up on the winch drums. The wings of the net come up first. Note the tears in this net that will have to be repaired before setting again. The quarter ropes close the net and bring bosom and square over the rail. The wings and bosom of the net are now hauled in by hand. If there is a good catch, the cod end now floats to the surface, but there are many yards of net still to be hauled on deck. This is hauled in by winch with a rope called the lazy decky. The cod end holds 5,000 pounds of fish, but only 3,000 pounds with the splitting strap on. This strap is attached to the cod end to allow a small bag of fish to be brought in at one time, so that the strain will be taken off the cod end. When the cod line is untied, the fish spill out. Before putting the cod end over again, it is tied with a special slip knot. Then the cod end is dropped over, the splitting strap put on again, the tackle hooked onto the splitting strap, and the cod end hoisted and emptied. This action is repeated until all the fish still remaining in the bosom of the net are brought in. A trawler of this size brings in an average of 5 million pounds of fish a year. The captain again orders to shoot the gear. This time they will shoot from the port side, as the starboard net must be repaired. The doors are brought overside and shackled. When the trawler net is dragging over a rough bottom, rollers are used on the foot ropes. The rollers help to keep the net from tearing as it drags over the rough sea bottom. The floats on the headline keep the net open. Again, the cables are run off. The doors, weighing from 1,200 to 1,800 pounds, bear the strain of the net and swing on their cables as the trawler continues in a wide arc at half speed. Now the doors drop and the trawler steams ahead. Again, the messenger hook is thrown over the forward warp and slides down under the water, where it passes over the aft towing warp and brings both towing warps together. The towing block is closed. The messenger hook removed, and the markers on the warps show that the net is again in towing position. Most of the fish brought in by dragging are alive when emptied from the net, and as each catch comes aboard, it must be stored and iced before the net is hauled again. First, the fish are split and gutted. Then they are washed and put in the hold. Each layer of fish is separated by a layer of ice. Fish so packed will keep perfectly fresh for 10 days if necessary. When it is time to haul again, they release the towing block and wind in the warps. The heavy doors come up first. They are unshackled and hung in the gallows chain. Then the wings of the net come up. Note the position of the net in relation to the ship as the net is hauled in. The slack twine of the net is hauled in by hand and both sides brought together so the fish will not escape. As they haul in the net, the cod end floats up. Again, the lazy decky goes to work, hauling in the bosom of the net. After the splitting strap is put on, the cod end is hoisted in by winch and the cod end emptied. Again, the cod end rope is tied. And cod end put overside. This operation is repeated over and over until no fish remain in the net. The fish are emptied into what they call the checkerboard. These rectangular-shaped compartments keep the fish from slipping over the deck. Sometimes strange-looking fish get into the net. Here are some odd ones: a skate, a sculpin, and a shark. These go overboard again. But the fishermen welcome the halibut, of which they catch a fair quantity. The bulk of the catch are haddock and cod. After each haul is stored away, the checkerboard is thoroughly cleaned. The cook is a very important man on the trawler. Good, hearty food and lots of it is what these seafaring men get. So after 6 days at sea, 6 busy days and nights, for the gear is set and hauled every hour and a half, the trawler, full to the hatches, steams toward its home port. The minute the trawler docks, the fish are unloaded, for such a perishable commodity must be handled quickly. As each pen in the hold is emptied, the pen boards are brought up and made ready for the next trip out. Some of the cold storage plants engage inspectors to check the temperature of the fish as it is brought in to ensure top quality for the consumer. The great percentage of the catch is filleted and marketed either fresh or fresh frozen. Modern machinery speeds up the business of filleting cod, haddock, and other fish that pass along the conveyor to the packaging room. There it is weighed and packaged, ready for the consumer within a few hours after the trawler has docked. Within a few hours also, and even as the catch is being processed, the trawler, ready for the banks, again heads seaward, for the harvesting of the sea is continuous.